Cool. Welcome to Staying Relevant, the podcast with two best friends, Pete Wicks and Sam Thompson, on their quest for ever-long fame.
Ever-long fame?
Yeah, ever-long fame. It's a word.
It's not. You didn't really know where you were going with that. You started it, you had sort of finished it, but it didn't really make sense, did it?
Ever-staying fame.
Ever-staying fame?
Ever-present fame.
Ever-present fame.
Yeah, that's what we want. We want to be famous.
Any other words you want to put in instead of sort of present? And
relevant.
Relevant. Ever-relevant fame?
Ever-relevant.
Okay, great. As always, I'll be drinking and I will be swearing, so if you don't like that, go yourself.
We love you, though. Now, you can catch us on YouTube every single Friday, and this podcast comes out every single Monday. Now, sorry, go.
Thank you. You just keep
I know.
surely just cutting me off there.
Sorry.
God, the reviews are right. You do cut in. I've forgotten where was that? Oh no, that's it. Follow us on Staying Relevant Podcast on Instagram, Staying Relevant Podcast on TikTok, and search Staying Relevant on YouTube to watch all the extra bits on a Friday.
Yeah, because we love some extra bits.
Rate, review, and do all that shit and all.
Now, we're joined today by somebody who is a titan in the broadcast game, someone I've looked up to for many a year. We share the same agent. I think that's the only reason he's here. It's Mr. Jordan North. Right, okay, here we go. We are joined by I've wanted you on here for ages, by the way.
Bless you.
He's a very busy man. He has his own podcast, Help, I Sexted My Boss, which is flying at the moment, and I'm a huge fan of. Sorry, that noise you're hearing is Pete just opening another beer.
Good lad.
During the intro as well, which is just absolutely awful. It's Mr. Jordan North.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure. It is.
It's an honour.
Thank you. Bless you.
Were you forced to come here?
Well, no, not at all. I mean, it helps that me and Sam have the exact same agent. So,
I mean, you have got the exact same agent, but it's still taken months to get you here.
Yeah.
Is it convincing?
I was meant to do it a couple of months ago, but I think, didn't one of you have the shits or something? Or you had an
Sam,
upset
then.
stomach?
Hello.
Or was it an upset stomach?
Yeah,
Something
yeah,
like
hello,
that.
sir.
And
Yeah.
that's so weird. I think I'm psyching away because I woke up that morning and I had loads on and I just knew that it was going to get cancelled.
Really?
Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know why, but I was like,
It's because Sam lives mainly off pepperonis.
oh, mate.
I love a pepperoni
And
and a raw mushroom.
That's
Delicious.
basically what he eats.
Delicious.
Do you like Lunchables as well?
Oh, I love a Lunchable. I love a
Yeah.
Baby Bell.
Oh, Baby Bell.
Sometimes when we do the podcast, Zara, his missus, packs a packed lunch for him.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
sweet.
He's
And
very sweet.
She's a keeper.
She
And she
is.
puts notes in it.
Oh, a little post-it note.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
calls me Goose.
Yeah, it's fucking pathetic.
It's not.
Honestly, it makes me just... And if you're ever around them as well, they do little baby noises to each other, and it makes me want to punch them both in the fucking head. Repeatedly.
Everyone's got a mate like Pete, haven't
It's
they?
just like,
Everyone's like,
just look at them and just think, fuck off. You know what I mean? It's really bad. Anyway.
I make Pete say hello to my cats before he
This is
walks in the
mate.
door. Jordan, it's a pleasure having you here, mate.
Thank you.
Basically, one of the main reasons is not only because I love your stories on your own podcast, but secondly, you are a man that, well, our podcast is obviously called Staying Relevant.
It's a good start. You are a man.
yep. Yeah.
Just in case anyone was wondering.
You've got my pronouns right.
You're a man, you're a he, him, and you are the definition of what we want to be.
Oh,
We're basically trying to stay relevant in an industry that is shooting past us, my friend, shooting very quickly as well.
wow.
Well, I'm gonna jump in. So basically, I will do anything that I'm paid to do, but I couldn't really give a shit. Sam, he's basically his idol. Your podcast is flying. You're a radio phenomenon.
Oh,
And
guys.
Sam is trying to be everything that you are, and he's effectively just not as good. So
I've got to look him in the eye now.
why are you so good and Sam so bad?
Oh, that
We start there. Why do you think Sam's terrible?
I don't think he's terrible. I actually think he's very good. And Sam's always himself, and I've met him a few times now. So that's my number one. I always say, just be yourself, especially on the radio. If you're trying to be someone you're not on the radio, or even on a podcast as well, people just see through it. It's all right on telly. You can get away with it a bit on telly because telly's a bit shiny and a bit showbizy.
I think it's best a bit shite.
No.
Telly's a bit shite.
But you know, you're just on telly for about an hour, but radio you're on for 3-4 hours, and you've just got to be yourself.
You've been doing it for years now. I remember, and I mean, you've probably had this regurgitated at you like a million times, but when you were, who were you interviewing when you brought out the who do you support?
Burnley.
Burnley. You brought out a Burnley kit.
Yeah, who was it for?
Who was it? Was it Margot Robbie?
No, you're getting me mixed up with Chris Stark. That was Chris
No,
Stark.
but you bought a football shirt out.
Didn't he do it with a Watford shirt?
You did it with a Burnley shirt.
Yeah, I've given a few people Burnley shirts before. Yeah.
I have to figure it out. Great start.
No, I know what you mean, but that was ages ago.
Yeah, mate,
wasn't
but
it?
that was one of the
He's
things.
followed you from afar. I mean, I'd
Bless
be
you, I'm
worried
flattered.
sat in the fucking butchies outside your house.
Did you know from like a very early age that radio was the one for you?
Yeah. So my dad was in the army, so we moved around every 2 years. And every time you move somewhere, I'd always listen to the local radio because that gave you an idea of what the town or the place was all about. And I just became obsessed with radio. And then I used to go on my way to school and I'd be like, I want to do this for a living. And then I moved to Preston when I was about 14 and I was obsessed with this station called Rock FM, part of the Bauer group where we're here today. And it doesn't play rock music, it's like a pop station. And I always wanted to work on there. And yeah, I've wanted to do it since about 14, 15. I got to the age of probably 8 or 9 when I realised I was really shit at football. In fact, my dad told me. So then I thought, right, I'm not going to be a footballer, which most lads want to be when they're younger.
If you want to be a polo player, you posh fuck.
No, I didn't. I want to be a Chelsea footballer.
Oh, fair enough. And I never wanted to join the army like my brothers and the rest of my family. So I thought, I'm going to give this radio malarkey a go. And my dad was never convinced. He made me get a trade when I left school.
Really?
I was a bricklayer for 6 months. But
You're a bricky, we are.
Oh, I mean, I use the term loosely, Pete. Yeah, I was proper shit. I remember the boss saying to me, "You are the worst apprentice I've ever had, but you're a good laugh." And in like lunch breaks and stuff, I remember once we were like working on this lift. I can't remember what it was, and I had to kneel down and put a hard hat on, and they were just throwing spanners and bouncing them off my head for about an hour. And he went, "That's the best bit of work you've done all day."
Am I part of the team?
Yeah, that was pretty much me. And I remember my dad took me down to the builder's merchant and got me like a high-vis vest and some. He's never been so enthusiastic about my work and some steel toe cap boots. Yeah.
So when was your first big break then on radio?
So I did.
You do local bits first?
Yeah,
that sort of stuff,
I did voluntary radio. I worked at a station at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. I don't know if you know, it's a theme park.
Yeah.
I know it very well. Used to date a bird from Blackpool. What a fucking experience Blackpool is. Wow.
Pete is
Love you all though.
Pete is that one mate, especially now when you work. I've got one mate who Pete reminds me of, and I think, God, you're going to get me cancelled. You're going to get... I say to the mate when I go out with him, I'm like, please don't put me up on your Insta story. Please don't tag me in that. Yeah, I worked at... It was called Kit Kat Radio when I worked there.
Kit Kat Radio.
And it was more of a tannoy. I've told this story a million times, and people used to come in with a little slip and write their name on it and do a shout out, and I'll never forget the name as long as I live. This woman come in, hair tied up, leggings on, she was smoking a fag, and she went, "Will you give a shout out for our Ebony Louise?" I went, "Yeah, sure, is it a birthday?" She went, "No, we've lost her, I've not seen her for 2 hours." No! And I was like, right, you need to go to security. We're not allowed to, you need to go to security. And I'll never forget the name, Ebony Louise. I was about 20-year-old.
Did you do the shout out?
No, you're not allowed. They had to tell them to go to security. But it was like that, and I used to do like 6-hour shifts there. And then I left uni, and my first proper job I covered was Capital Northeast. So I'm being like geeky here, but the Capital Network had just taken over Galaxy. Do you remember Galaxy Radio?
No.
It was more of a northern thing. It was this fucking great radio station. Anyway, they took over it, and I covered on overnights there, the graveyard shift.
What is the graveyard? What is actually the...
I think I was on 2 a.m. till 6.
Oh my fucking God.
What, how many days a week?
I did just a full week, Monday to Friday. Yeah.
Fuck me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I bet you were a barrel of laughs at the weekend.
No, I wasn't.
Fucked, weren't you?
I know. Well, I was buzzing because it was like my first proper radio show. Then I did Capital Manchester. I got weekends there. And then I got sacked after 6 months.
Why?
So I like to think that it was because I wasn't suited to them, because I know what the type of I always wanted to be on Radio 1. I was rubbish, and I was trying too hard to be Chris Moyles, Scott Mills, and I was trying to be a Radio 1 presenter on Capital, which doesn't work. So I got sacked from there, and then I just worked behind the scenes at Radio 5 Live. So I used to like write scripts for Richard Baker.
That's sick.
Yeah, and Victoria Derbyshire. I worked with her, who I was in the castle with on I'm a Celeb. And then a mate I lived with, Daryl Morris, who works in radio now as well, said that Rock FM are looking for a weekend presenter.
And this is because you love Rock FM. You're like, here we go.
So I sent a demo in. I had to do a 3-minute demo tape, and they put me on weekends. And then I got drive. I got drive in a mad way. I got pissed for a show. I missed a weekend show. It was the second weekend show I missed, and basically we used to do a collection. It was called Cash for Kids. And it was at Christmas time, and they had loads of presents for underprivileged kids. And me and my mate came back from a night out, and I said, you can't let me fall asleep. I fell asleep last week, and I'll get the sack. So I went upstairs, made a brew, fell asleep, and I missed the show for about an hour. And the next day...
You were in the building?
Yeah, in the building, missed the show. Next day, the boss pulls me in, and he presses play on... He said, why are we late? I said, my taxi didn't turn up, all this bollocks and stuff. And he presses play on CCTV. It was beautifully edited. And I'm asleep upstairs. You see us stumbling in arm. And my mate's downstairs. He's got all these presents open. He's doing the fucking keepy-ups. You remember that Ryan Giggs?
Yeah.
Keepy-ups. The worst one is he's got this science experiment, right? And he's doing it on the pool table in Rock FM. He's got shit bubbling up. I'm not even joking. He's got white powder all over his face. These kids' goggles on. We were pissed.
Yeah.
Very, not with it. And he said, you're suspended for 2 weeks. And then I had to go and meet the big boss in Manchester. And he'd just started. And he said, I'll be honest with you, I've never heard of you. But I heard your show and it's pretty good. So I got promoted to drive about 6 weeks after that.
Because he was like, I need to figure out this kid.
And the boss was like that. And And then I went and did bits at Radio 1 and yeah.
So you mentioned like Chris Moyles and sort of, have you got like a radio icon, someone that you think is just the best of the best that you've tried to emulate or you'd like to have a career similar to?
Yeah, there's
the people that you've looked up to, basically.
There's three. There's Chris Moyles.
Yeah.
I think like his show in the the early 2000s when I was growing up and stuff was just, I mean, they had like 8-9 million listeners. It was
crazy.
And they never played any music. Right. You're doing really well. I've seen your radar figures. I've seen it on your Insta and stuff, didn't I? Oh, I've seen hits posted.
Come on, baby.
So there was Moyles, Scott Mills,
Yeah.
And Sarah Cox. So
Sarah Cox, yeah.
And someone told me ages ago that Sarah Cox just writes little things down in her notes and then turns it into a story, and that's kind of what I do now. So them three.
I used to love Chris Tarrant.
Oh, and he was on Capital.
He was on Capital Breakfast.
Didn't that's how Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah.
Didn't they create it on Capital?
They did. I don't know. I just agreed. I haven't got a clue.
Something to do with that. Him and his mate made it up. This might be bollocks, but him and his mate kind of came up with it on Capital.
Chris Tarrant actually came up with it.
I'm pretty sure. I do talk a lot. I do chat a lot of shit. A friend of mine says, the more sure you are, the more I know it's wrong. Yeah. Because I'll go, no, mate, it was definitely 20 quid. Or, mate, it was definitely 2010. But I think him and his friend came up with it, and they kind of still get money for the formats. It's massive in the world.
Was joking, but you sort of like came up in a way that we couldn't really do nowadays, which is like, I mean, I used to get told that Chris Tarrant would have like a cigar in the studio and he'd have a bottle of whiskey just sort of like chilling there. Yeah. And like, you just couldn't do any of that stuff now. Was it more fun back then?
Yeah, I reckon so. And back then, people did 8-9 minute links and you just can't do it now. People's attention spans they're like, you've got to be like, shut the up, play a song, especially if you've got ads to play. But if you got a big name, you could do it. But yeah, you hear about people smoking all the time and having. There's a video I watched on YouTube not long ago. Chris Evans doing his Friday morning show on Radio 1 with Pat Guinness.
Oh yeah,
hello.
He used to get Guinness delivered to
him. See, I'd actually want to do radio if it was still like that. Yeah, it'd be fucking great.
You should do radio. I think you'd be good at. Would you?
It would be a struggle to find a show that I would fit into.
You'd be surprised.
You know what I mean? I'm not like fucking old kids TV presenter over here.
Michael Whitehall just told me I should be a kids TV presenter. I think that's on record.
Have you got a radio voice like Sam?
I did. I got told I needed one when
Dave.
I started. Hi, it's Geordie Jord here. I've heard you a few times and you sound pretty normal.
Do you know what? It's because I started with a radio voice and they were like, don't you fucking dare.
Yeah.
They were like,
there was temptation to do it.
Oh, mate, so much. I don't know why it is either.
You used to have to do a radio voice, and especially when I first started, they'd give you a radio name, but mine, and if I had £1, everyone thinks mine's a radio name, Jordan North from the North. When I was on Capital, there was the bassman.
The bassman?
Yeah.
How would you intro yourself?
You'd be like, all right, it's Jordan. The bassman's up next, and he was called the bassman. Who else was? There's still people going now. There's very famous people who've still got a radio name because it used to have to be 2 syllables.
If
Jordan North.
Chipmunk Steve.
If you had to give Sam a radio name, what would it be?
I think yours is. I think Sam Tom.
Sam Tom.
That's quite good, actually.
Sam Tom.
Yeah.
I would have gone with Posh Twat, but Sam Tom works.
Hello, it's Bosh Twat bringing you.
Are you that posh though? I can't work it out because you a bit
He's
cockney.
dumbing it down, right?
So-
We've just had the Whitehalls in, right?
Yeah. I can't wait to hear that.
I mean, honestly, mate, I've never felt so common in my life. At one point, I genuinely thought they thought I was going to mug them. But now that I mean, I'm guessing you're a working class background.
Yeah, good guess. Yeah.
Me and you- Sam is obviously not, so he's trying to dumb it down a bit now. So we'll start throwing in things like, you know what I mean, geezer?
Yeah.
And it just don't work out.
I
But then
love
when
a
we had
geez.
when the Whitehalls were here, he was like, may I just ask a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He went back into...
you can. If you're working class, did you ever say to your dad, "What's for tea?" And he'd say, "Shit with sugar on."
No,
No.
we'd be in a two up, two down.
No, see, I've only just talked about 2 up, 2 down is.
My grandma had two. I grew up in two.
Yeah, so
two
do
up,
I,
two
yeah.
downs.
So did,
Whereas Sam, I mean, listen, your dad was never there for dinner anyway. It was the butler that used to cook it.
hey, you were fucking born in
or the
jail.
OPEC.
So I'm not having that.
You
bullshit,
actually? Yeah. Oh right. Oh, fair play.
No. Sam tells the story that I was born in jail, raised in juvie, and that I haven't seen me dad popped out for a packet of fags, and he just never came back. And that's why I still smoke, because I'm just hanging on, hoping he'll come back and he might want one.
He's trying to connect with the dad that never was.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all just had a cigarette before, didn't we?
We did, yeah. It was really nice, actually. I feel like we bonded quite heavily over that.
Why do you make everything so weird? It's just we just all had a cigarette.
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? I feel like the energy was quite nice.
He's a sweet boy. A lot of people say this about me, and I get the same vibes. What do I get called? A Labrador. Boy.
Yeah.
Just happy and
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
everyone loves
you're
him.
like one of those mangy cats that like sort of like you just look at it and you go, you're an evil bastard, you are.
Are you talking about like the garbage cat from like
Yeah.
fucking
yeah,
Aristocat?
Yeah.
You're the kind of mate, you got a bit of black stuff all over your fur and no one quite knows what it
Well,
is.
everyone needs a mate like Pete. I've got two actually, who just don't give a shit. They tell you as it is.
But he's in this industry.
Yeah,
mate.
but there's not enough people like that, is there?
Well, this is the thing. Pete's almost become a bit of an icon, Jordan, to be honest. Like, people are literally like, where's Pete Wicks, mate? Hey.
You remind me, I did a podcast with Joe Marler.
Oh, yeah,
you've had him on
we did it as well.
We had it, yeah.
He's similar, just doesn't care.
He's fucking brilliant. Well, when we had Joe Marler on, he was one of the first guests we had, I think,
Yep.
when we started this podcast. And Sam sneezed and spat all his fucking shit all over his beard.
No, I mean, also, he's fucking enormous as well, terrifying.
Built like
And
a
I
big
genuinely,
shithouse.
I genuinely thought that he was going to crush Sam's skull for a
No,
minute there.
I basically sneeze, but sometimes it comes before, and you go,
Yeah.
and and before you can get your hand up to your mouth, right? I didn't get it, so it literally half of it went whoa, like that in his beard, and he literally went oh. Like that, and like everyone paused, you know, there's that
Yeah,
silence. Like, I don't know
yeah.
where we're gonna go from
Apart
here.
from me, I went, he's just spat in your beard, you know. I can't believe you've done that.
That's why you need a mate like Pete. That's what I was saying. Because everyone else would ignore it, and Pete go, he's just fucking snotted all over your beard.
Do you know what I do though? Quite a
it's
lot of
the
the
move.
time, actually. So if we're ever out on a night out, I'll sometimes, knowing that I've got Essex hard man Pete behind me, I'll sometimes, if there's ever an altercation, I'll be like, Pete,
Yeah, he does do that.
push him to the front. And I'm a kicker, you see, Jordan. I like one of these.
I've never had a fight before, and I once got headbutted in Preston. That was a nightmare. And my mate went, "You're not going to let that happen, are you?" It was 15 years ago, and maybe longer actually. So I went up to him, and everyone looked at me, and I went up and kicked him in the shin.
What did he do? What the fuck
And he
are you
laughed,
doing?
and all my mates laughed, and that ended the fight.
I love
He
it.
nutted me because I got in his taxi, but cut my eye and everything. So I went up
And you went up and kicked him in the
At
shin
least you got him back though, eh?
yeah.
with your steel cap shoes on.
And he laughed, and all my mates laughed, and all his mates laughed. I was like, I'm really sorry. I'm not much of a fighter.
But what I was going to say is that you went for radio because the absolute love of radio,
Yeah.
right? But then you've turned you're huge in TV. Like you did the Jungle. You're presenting shows, mate. Was TV ever an avenue that you were like, this is something I'm going to go? Because we've tried it all, Jordan.
Fair play.
We tried everything, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I still say now, as long as I'm on the radio, I'm happy.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds geeky, but I just love it. I genuinely love being on every day. It's a privilege. It's like, I've always loved the radio. Like, after this today, I'm covering the chart show on Radio 1. And, like, people say, oh, you don't need to do that. Why? Because Jack, who's great, the main presenter, is off this week. And I'm like, well, I like doing it, even though I can't count backwards. And that's why I would have had a beer. I would have had a beer otherwise, but I've got to be on focus for that. But yeah.
Is TV any different then for you? Do you go on? Do you get the nerves? You're like, oh, this isn't the same.
I get really nervous for like I can do radio, I'm fine, but I get really nervous on stage. So my podcast, we've been doing tours now, and I get terrible stage
Oh,
fright.
what's that like? Because we were thinking of doing a live
You should
tour.
do a live tour.
Terrifying though, isn't it?
Everyone wants us to do a live tour, but the problem is that Sam thinks. I mean, when they first said to us that we were going to do a fucking live tour, Sam had the impression that we were going to be doing Wembley.
No, aim high.
Yeah,
Hey,
I mean,
mate.
I think we would struggle to sell out the back room of the Red Lion pub.
Well, that's how we started off. We literally did the back room of Red. So do one and just do this simple format. Used to get a big guest, loyal listeners, 50, 60 people, and start like that. And then we build our way up over the years, and I get terrified. Saturday night takeaway as well, which I love doing. I get so nervous before.
Really?
And you should see me. I'm shaking like a shitting dog before we go on air. And we rehearse it loads. But yeah, I kind of fell into TV, but I do
Did
enjoy
you
it.
throw up on I'm a Celeb?
Well, that's how it all started. And again, I didn't want to do I'm a Celeb, but I did.
Did you do Welsh in the castle?
Yeah, we was in
I feel
the
like you got
castle.
fucked over a little bit.
No, because I'm terrified of flying.
Oh.
So I didn't fall. I've dodged a bullet.
Have
here.
you seen the
And I don't
thing
like
where you threw up?
snakes.
I've
It's
noticed
the
a little
funniest
pattern.
fucking thing
I've only
in the
been doing
world.
about 40 minutes, and so far you've kicked someone in the shin. You're terrified of getting a lift, and you're terrified of flying. You're a massive pussy.
Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
literally 40 minutes.
Hate confrontation.
Do ya?
Yeah, big time. And all my brothers
You're
were
a really nice guy. Aren't you?
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, you are.
Thank you. All my brothers are in the army and stuff, so I'm completely different to them from that. But yeah, I do enjoy doing the telly. I don't know how I stay relevant. I've never really thought about
Well, I
it.
think you just keep getting more and more relevant because, firstly, probably because you are a really, really nice guy and you're quite
Bless you.
authentic. You know what I mean? And I think that's really important. But also, you're just very good at what you do.
One thing I'll say as well, and I think this goes a long way, and you do see it, it's just don't be a knob.
Don't be a
Just
knob.
be right.
That's where I'm going wrong.
Yeah.
No, it's just be nice and
Yeah.
like to people to like I was a runner. I've done running jobs and stuff before, and that's in telly where you start off, and I think it's just the basics. You've just got to be on time. Be
on
polite,
time is
always
so
on
important,
time.
isn't it?
It's honestly, that's my number one. My dad was sergeant major, so I had to be. So being on time.
You make your bed when you wake up.
I still do, yeah.
Ah, that's so
weird.
jokes.
He was never strict with us, right? It was always my mum that would give us proper bollockins, and we used to call her Screaming Skull. That was a nickname that my dad nicknamed her. But my dad were always a bit soft, but he could never be late. You say he'd pick you up from after bowling, say you were 10, 15 minutes late. He'd be like, I said fucking 5:15, what time do you? So I've still got that in me from a kid.
Didn't you bite your brother's penis?
I bit his balls. Yeah, he put me in a headlock. You do listen to the podcast, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He bit his brother's bollock.
Yeah, he's now a paratrooper. So I think I've had something in that. He's what they call
Do you
hard.
think he tells that story to all the rest of the boys?
No, absolutely not. And when I meet all his mates, he's like, don't
fucking tell.
He's like, don't be all show busy and stuff like that. And what have you.
Wait, can we? Because I can't. I did listen to it, obviously, but like I can't remember the ins and outs. He's got you in a headlock, right? Your brother's having a tussle with you.
Having a tussle.
How have you got in a position where you've got next to his penis?
So
and you've gone, I'm going to bite your bollocks.
We used to wrestle, but this weren't wrestle. This was a full-on fight, probably over the Xbox or something. I don't know. I'm lying. I never.
Have you tried the shin kicking and it hadn't worked?
No, definitely. I say Xbox. I never used to play it. My brothers played Xbox. I were in another room reading Roald Dahl. I'm trying to be. So honestly.
You sit there with James and the Giant Peach.
I
Leave me
literally-
alone.
I
Leave me
literally
alone.
was. My mum used to go, when they'd all come in, scrap him and go, shh, Jordan's upstairs reading. Honestly. Anyway, I can't remember what we're fighting for. And he's got me in headlock and he's proper choking me and I'm banging on the ceiling. And my mum and dad are just thinking, they had 4 kids, 4 boys, they're just thinking they'd bring it. And I was choking, so I thought, I'm going to die here. So I just bit his bollock. And I got grounded for 2 weeks for that.
How hard did you bite?
I went,
Well, you spat the
proper
bollock
went,
out.
yeah, pretty much. But we scrapped loads. And that was because of a story, because he, when I was doing my GCSEs as well, he used to torment me. We're really good mates now. I talked about this on the podcast recently, and that story came from it. You know, when you did your GCSEs, you had to have a see-through pencil case.
Yeah.
So I got my pencil case out, and I said to the teacher, I went, I'm going to need a pen and a ruler. And he went, we've told you in year 11 now, you need to start doing this. I went, I have got it, but I can't use it. He went, why? And I pulled it out, and I went, my brother sprinkled his pubes into my pencil case. So he'd shaved his pubes the night before, knew I was proper worked up about this. I think it was a maths exam. Sprinkled his, and I just had a pencil case full of his pubes.
That is so jokes.
I remember I went home to my dad, and my dad just burst out laughing. High-fived him. I was like, okay, now.
I'm going to do that to you. I'm going to sprinkle my pubes in your mouth.
When do you think I'm going to be doing my GCSEs then? For fuck's sake. Or when am I going to have a fucking pencil case?
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cook you a cake. I'm going to bake you a cake and have my pubes in the cake. So we're going to be even closer. I'm going to be part
I
of
don't know where you're going with this, because at what point do you think I would accept a cake from you?
I don't know. Maybe you are just. It's a cake, isn't it? You love a little pistachio cake. You do.
You're not if you. I don't accept anything you do because I think there's going to be a reason behind it. Everything you do is either some sort of fucking way of winding me up.
Pete's so on edge now. Like, if I even be like, oh, Pete, like, why don't you come around mine? We'll just, like, hang out. He's like, I never come round to yours to hang out. Like, you're going to be doing something with me.
Yeah, I only see Sam if I'm contractually obliged or paid.
I know you've been asked this something like, how did you meet?
So let's go dating.
Of course, yes.
Let's go dating.
Of course,
we were both unlucky in love.
Yes.
Essex's Lothario Hardman, Peter James Wicks, was he'd just been dumped.
This is not even the story.
And I
love it when Sam does this because it's nothing to do with the actual story.
And I had just been dumped myself. I just wasn't good enough. And basically,
you got dumped because you cheated.
No,
I've been
Pete,
single
don't
for a number of
start
years.
fucking coming at me. They're vicious lies. Anyway, we're both in this room, right? We're both in this room, and I go over to Pete, and he's talking about crystals. Right, and he's sitting there, and he's like, "Mate, I love." He goes, "What?" First of all, he goes, "What star sign are you?"
You know this will get cut because it's not going to get the laugh that you want out of it. Because I'm looking at his face and he knows that I'm not interested in crystals.
And basically, I walk over to Pete, and I'm like, and I just see this beautiful looking man, and I'm just like, look, do you know what? I'm just going to go and ask him for a couple of tricks of the trade. The trade being picking up ladies. And Pete went, "You just got to look at them." So like, I started just staring at him. And then Pete was like, well, don't do it like that. And then he taught me how to look at women.
Oh, okay.
There wasn't a scary sort of vibe. And then we just hit it off from there.
And
Right.
what series was that? I always say when I always get asked to do voiceover, and I want to do like a Rob Beckett style one because
He's fucking. He makes
brilliant.
He ripped us apart.
He's ripped me apart every time I've done that.
Pete's done it 4 times.
Fair play. He's brilliant.
He is really, really fun. I would love to have that kind of sort of job because he literally gets to go to town on you.
I did it for one show and then they cut it all. And I didn't say it, and they basically said, we're getting Rob Beckett vibes from this. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Like, it's not that sort of show. I was like,
That's so jokes though. Having the power to do that.
You did a voiceover, didn't you?
I did a voiceover,
What'd
Jordan.
you do for them?
For Ekin-Su and Davide's.
on that TV too.
Yeah, and Ian Stanley didn't want to do it clearly, and no one else obviously would put themselves forward. So I was like, I will. I went in, and just like you, I found myself there going, tonight! And I was like, fuck, I sound like Ian Stanley, even though I'm not Scottish. It's so hard to not replicate.
Voiceovers are hard as well.
I was the voice of the Malteser bunny over Easter for all the adverts.
This.
Oh,
a few years
really?
ago,
Oh,
yeah.
I remember that.
I think I remember that vaguely. I
Smooth,
thought that was
velvety
Rylan.
chocolate. I did all the radio. Yeah.
I thought that was Rylan.
Fucking hell, that's worrying. No, I had to do a really low, smooth, velvety chocolate, covered in with that extra bite.
That
Yeah.
was a few years ago,
Yeah,
wasn't
a few
it?
years ago. Yeah, that's the only. And I've never done any other voiceover work since then because I think it sounded creepy.
Is that what they say, creepy?
Well, I mean, they used it, but afterwards, I remember hearing it and then thinking, oh, that sounds a little bit weird.
Well, actually, on the subject of creepy, Jordan, like you obviously, like,
Yeah, whilst we're talking about creep,
you're obviously creepy. No, that's not what I was saying. What I meant was we're thinking about sort of like guests and stuff like that, and I want to get some of the TikTokers in, some of the Gen Zers, right? But like they're quite young, and we're not getting any younger, sorry. And it's like, do you think it's like the right move for us to sort of get those TikTok Gen Zers who sort of like, it's almost like we could be their dads
I
on
think
the podcast?
it'd be like a therapy session with Pete. I think it'd be great for them because they live in, and I know a lot of you, because when I was starting out on radio, a lot of people were like, radio's at its day. Everybody says that, and it's not. And then there was the YouTubers, and I've worked with a lot of YouTubers and TikTokers the same. And I hope they don't mind me saying this. They're in their own little world. Their own little bubble.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of shit going on, a lot of them. And I think it'd be good to get one of them on here because and a lot of people. So when I was starting out, a lot of people get YouTubers, and like now they get TikTokers and put them on TV and radio, and they don't quite work.
Yeah.
And a lot of them struggle.
Yeah.
But they know how to stay relevant, definitely.
See, this is the thing. I mean, I feel
Stress.
it's. Do you like
do it.
digital? You don't.
I'm so bad on social. I'm a
Can't
lot
be as bad as Pete.
I'm awful on it. I don't
terrible.
like it, to be fair.
I don't like it. I fucking hate it. I don't have TikTok and all that bollocks. He does all that shit.
I've got like a burner TikTok account that I just watch when I'm on the toilet. I don't post anything. So basically, the podcast and Radio 1 now just send me videos and tag me in them, and I just post, and it keeps me post. I'd never post like me on holiday or anything like that.
What is it
You're
about?
Great. You're really good.
Oh, I love it. Jordan,
You're
I love
mate,
it.
loves it.
and do you know what? That'll keep you relevant.
Yes, it
See
will.
me bringing it back round to the
Yeah.
podcast.
But this is the
that
thing.
will definitely. I'd say if you're listening right now, social media will keep you relevant. That got you the Love Island job.
I don't care. I just want to be paid. Sam's the one that wants to be. He'd do everything for free if it meant people knew his name.
Jordan, I want to be Ant and Dec.
That could.
Yeah. Jordan didn't say anything then. That was.
yeah.
Remember, it's IT. Like those two are.
No. But they're going to die soon. It's going to be fine.
They're not that much older than us.
It's
Sam,
gonna be
and they're
fine.
not going anywhere.
Well,
And also, they're very good.
but just fucking retire.
Sam, you are shit,
Yeah, but-
and I'm even worse.
Yeah, but at some
You're
point,
slightly better than me, and you're still fucking shit.
Hear me out. There's definitely a Channel 4 chat show in this. There is.
To be honest, we'd be lucky to get a Channel 5 show just after my £600 hamster.
We play a game on the radio called Five or Fake, and we come up with some names you've got to work out if it's a Channel 5 show or not. Caravanning with Jane McDonald, and you're like, oh, I don't know, is that actually a real?
I think she did a boating one, didn't she?
Did a boating one, but not a caravanning one.
there's a show on Channel 5 about people who fell in love with theme park
Yeah, I've
machines.
seen that. I love it. When you're hungover, just put one of my favourite ever shows is Bargain Loving Brits in the Sun.
Oh, mate, genuinely, I fucking love it. And
Brilliant.
They also did another one that I found on, I think it was on Amazon or whatever the other day, which is Benefits Britain, where they give people the full year's worth of benefits, 26 grand at the time, and say sign off and see if you can make a business out of it, and then they just let them go to town, and it's fucking brilliant.
I'd love that.
Mate, it's on Amazon at the minute. I think it's called Benefits Britain.
watched-
But I just find it fascinating.
Is it Ready Set Startup?
No, that sounds.
Yeah, and there's Rich House, Poor House as well. So,
Yeah.
there's a
This would really open your eyes.
There's
mate,
a-
Oh,
because-
fuck off.
there's a wealthy family.
Yeah.
And then there's a family that are either like low income or are struggling, and they swap lives. And then the wealthy family goes to live in their house, and then they have the same budget. So like the family on low income have about £6,000 to spend in a week. They're like, I don't know what to do here. And the other family are like starving by Tuesday.
It was a bit like what was that show? Wife Swap. Do you remember that?
This was all great telly.
That they just can't really do anymore.
Why
Wife
don't
Swap
they do
is
it
something-
anymore?
Because it's too
yeah.
risky and there's too much red tape now to be able to do a lot of things.
It all kind of comes back round as well. Like,
Yeah.
It'll be like a lot of that stuff's on Channel 5 now.
Like
It's
Big Brother.
Yeah, like Bargain Loving Brits was basically ITV's Holiday Showdown. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
Where they used
yeah.
to swap holidays.
Yeah, that was good as well.
But it's great.
We did Antiques Road Trip.
I got asked to do that recently.
Jokes. It's so fucking
It's
fun.
a really big show.
Yeah,
what?
Pete broke the car.
So
Don't lie.
That's
He-
how you stay
He
relevant.
broke the car. That's not even a
why don't
lie.
you just do the story? It's better.
Okay, go on then.
You're in a mood today just
Go.
you're basically doing what Hillary and Michael did, which is you're just telling vicious
You're
lies.
like an old
constantly.
married couple. You're like an old northern married couple.
So basically, they said to us, what are your interests? And I said, well, I don't really give a fuck about antiques, but I love cars and I love bikes.
Great.
They said, so what's your dream car? So I said, like a Pulse 356 Speedster, which is like an old, beautiful, beautiful car. So they got us one. I snapped the accelerator pedal within 15 minutes.
Brilliant.
So we had to dump it on a side road, and I was like, well, I don't know what to do. So we just ran away from it, and they filmed it and left it in. And then I fell in love with my antiques dealer, Margie. She was 70 odd years old and actually got her name tattooed on me.
No way.
Margie on the show, and she tattooed a P on herself. Never had a tattoo before at 73.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah.
That is how, by the way, I'd say staying relevant is sometimes you get offered to do stuff.
Tattoo pensioners.
Yeah. And shows, and you think, I can't, and you just got to do it because you've got to promote yourself, promote your radio show. That
It
kind
was
of thing.
fucking awesome.
You've
was
got
really
to do
fun.
them all. If you've got time, definitely do them because you think I could have a day off, but it's good. You should watch Bangers and Cash.
You guys both basically just love a
Bangers
little
and
bit.
Cash.
My
old-
Uncle Ian's in it as well.
Oh, really?
And he's like, I've been out with Uncle Ian, and people come up, and I'm thinking they're asking me for a selfie. Right. And they
Bangers
go,
and Cash?
Yeah, and they go, "Are you Ian from Bangers and Cash?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's me, love." And he's getting selfies in the pub.
Is it a bit like Wheeler Dealer?
Yeah, so
I did
it's-
their podcast the other week. Mike Brewer, who's done that Wheeler Dealer. He's basically had his show for about 20 years across Sky called Wheeler Dealer, which is basically him just buying and selling second-hand cars.
Yeah, that's what this is about. My
Yeah.
uncle is on the show. He like gets them from one end of the country to another, and it's all about old cars. I think he's on like Dave or Watch or something like that.
One of my favourite channels, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking God, you are so old, Pete.
How old are you, Pete? If you don't mind me.
34.
Oh, I'm 30.
Are you nearly 35 yourself then?
I'd say 35.
You're 30, aren't you?
30, just turned 30, yeah.
You're so young.
Yeah.
What are you looking at me like that?
Anyway, so your podcast, which has been an absolute smash, 5 years, did you say earlier you've been going?
Yeah.
5 years. And what was the premise behind it? How did it come about?
Did you sext your boss?
No, William writes a lot of etiquette books, and he thought, I'm going to write one called Sex and My Boss. And then our friend, who, so basically it's four of us, me and William and two mates behind the scene, Ben and Stuart. I forgot his name then.
Yeah, good mate.
Yeah. Stuart said, we pitched it to Radio 1. They were looking for podcasts. And Stuart said, we should pitch you two together. This was before I was on Radio 1. And it didn't get past the first round of commissioning. And we did
You know
a pilot.
the feeling.
Yeah, we did the pilot. And my mate was like, you should do this. So we did like the odds. We did. I genuinely thought it'd last for 2 series. And when we first started, we were like making the problems and dilemmas up. Or we were getting our friends to like send in problems and dilemmas because that's what the premise is. And then it's just over time, it's just built up. And it's mad. Like I just can't believe how big and how many people listen to it. And it mainly helped because we started putting video clips on TikTok, which has helped, and I leave that to all the guys behind the scenes. But I went to New York last year, and someone come up to me and they're like, "Oh my God, I love Help I Saved a
That's sick.
And I'm like, in New York, that's mad, blowing my mind. But I say as well, it's of everything I do, it's the easiest thing I do.
Yeah.
Just tip up in the week, talk about how my week's been, give some advice and problems and dilemmas, and it's just turned into this massive thing.
What's the best dilemma you've ever had?
Oh mate, some of them are so shocking. So the best one that always makes me always work, like, just I think, how would you carry on living? A guy, a young lad, was into older men, and he's on Grindr, and he's chatting to an older man, and they're swapping. Like they're talking about the fantasies and what they like to do.
Swapping dick pics.
Swapping dick pics, I think, everything you can imagine. And then when they arranged to meet, they swapped face pics, and it was his dad.
Shut the fuck up. No.
I swear to God. So William's reading the letter, and I'm like, I remember saying, and I'm not like, I remember saying, I think you just should go to therapy or something. How would you, what advice would you give to that, Pete? That's probably the one where I'm like, we've had many.
I mean, what advice would I get?
You weren't expecting that, were you?
What was his penis like?
I don't know.
What?
Sorry,
Of
okay.
all the
And
fucking
then,
questions.
And then a load of, and you know what TikTok's like and Insta, loads of people were commenting going, this ain't true, it's bollocks. I got our producer to get back in touch, like Aftercare, and they were speaking for a while. It was very much true.
I did a podcast called The Dating Show with CC for a couple of years, and we did a similar thing. Like we used to have at the end of the thing, like, you know, dating advice, because she did first dates for years, so she's seen lots of people dating, and obviously I've dated a fair bit, so we just did a bit of a jokey thing. And we always used to say, listen, we're not experts, but fucking writing some of your stuff, yeah. And it got to the point where you were getting so much weird shit to come in that you would literally, some of them we couldn't actually, they were so bad that we couldn't actually fucking say. You couldn't think of that shit. Like, that's when you know it's fucking so out there.
You had one that you were just about to say, by the way.
No, we had one similar. Yours probably worse. And again, we find out what stuff is. Like, a woman was going to a friend's house for dinner. They were helping them cook, and they went in the freezer, and there's 2 frozen turds in a bag. And it turned out the guy who was making dinner was into iglooing, and I had no idea what iglooing is. Do you?
I thought you meant like igloos.
No, so basically, where I'm so sorry to anyone listening, and this is what we have to deal with on our podcast. I've got to remember I work for the BBC as well, so it's basically where you freeze your shit and then
is that what it's called, iglooing?
Use it as a what?
As a like a dildo.
Fuck off! No, doesn't it get? Doesn't
You're
it?
so sweet and innocent.
Doesn't it melt?
Well, yeah.
No, it's frozen, isn't it?
But
Yeah, but then it melts.
imagine after a little bit of friction, it would start to just soften
You
up.
put it in a condom, I think.
Oh,
I think. I don't know.
I think. I don't know.
Genuinely
Is
don't
that the
know.
best way to do it, Jordan?
I believe so. Don't forget William, who I do this with, is,
Prim and proper.
very prim and proper. When I first met him, he was teetotal. So he'd had his first drink when he was like 23, 24.
Wow.
He's never drunk a pint in his life. He's never had a can of Coke. He's never had Coca-Cola, Pepsi in his life. Yeah, he's very prim and proper. People think it's all a bit of an act, but it isn't.
I met him when you were in the jungle. I did your
did
podcast.
yeah.
And he is the loveliest man.
He's really sweet. But
He's so sweet.
He is an etiquette expert. And that's his main job. He teaches it. Well, before the pandemic. Even now he teaches it.
God, can you imagine if he met me?
Oh, you'd be fucked.
He'd kind of like, he would like you in a
He'd
weird
have an
sort of
absolute,
way.
yeah, in a weird sort of way where he has to for a little bit until I go and then go, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
What the fuck was that? Some sort of fucking throwback.
In a weird sort of way, I think he would kind of like you.
So basically,
Sam gets all precious about fucking...
what? No, Jordan. What happens is, what will happen after this exact conversation, right? Is that this will go out and everyone will be like, "Oh my god, I love Jordan, I love Pete." They'll be like, "Sam can't stop fucking cutting in."
No, we get all that. You do. You can't live by it. Like, I don't read.
They don't say about Pete.
That's
Sam
why I
takes
was
it really personally.
so precious about my hair when I started, because stupidly the other night I couldn't sleep. I started reading comments on the Radio on Insta page, and it was all about my barnet and my hair.
What
And
did
I'm
it say?
Oh, fucking looks like he's got a wig on. It looks like a bird's nest. It's like, how bad's his comb over, that kind of thing. So
His
now I was
comb
like,
over.
now I was dead. Dead worried, but someone said he looked like he come on an open top bus as well, bastard.
Some of the best ones that I always get from...
Just don't read them.
Yeah, see, Sam gets really precious and does read them, but I mean, I'm mainly... the majority of things that I get are fucking horrendous, if you look at Daily Mail and all them sort of things.
Yeah.
Because he looks like he needs a bath. He's about 60. My favourite one, which my mum actually sent to me because she really enjoys reading them, was he looks like he smells like a horse's hoof. And I thought that was... I've never heard that one before, but I quite enjoyed that one.
You just don't read the comments. You'll learn to grow a thick skin, you will. It's like an old saying that my grandma used to say, if you was everyone's cup of tea, you'd be a mug.
Yeah.
I love that.
Right? So if you want to stay relevant, remember that.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
Not
yeah.
everyone's going to like you. Look at biggest entertainers in the country, Ant and Deck. Just read the comments about them on social
Yeah.
media and stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna nick their jobs.
But they
soon,
still
mate,
they
so.
still attract like 6-7 million viewers every night. No one's ever going to write a nice thing, are they? Like,
Very good point.
So obviously we're running out of time because we've waffled on about iglooing and stuff.
Sorry.
But, no, we really enjoyed that sort of shit. But
Excuse the pun.
very good pun.
thanks. I didn't actually mean it. I wish I could take. I didn't actually mean that. That was quite good.
Hold it.
was very
Hold it.
What is going to be next for you? So you're doing the podcast. Is there something else you want to do? I mean, you've done great stuff on TV. You've pretty much conquered fucking radio.
I've made it no secret, and it's been my life ambition. But there's
Sport punditry.
Pardon?
Sport punditry.
Sport punditry? No, believe it or not, no.
One of those things where I've just cut in.
It would not all. It is, and you got to tread carefully because currently my best mate's hosting it. But let me do that again. You've got to tread carefully because my very good mate's hosting it. But I've always said I want to do the Radio 1 Breakfast Show,
Yeah.
and I've always wanted to do that. But
So what have you thought about, like, sort of poison? What?
no,
How are you going about it?
Well, I mean, just all to say to anyone that's listening now, even if you're not into radio, you haven't listened to Radio 1 at the moment, listen to Greg James.
Oh,
Any
shut
morning.
up. Don't sit there
Mate.
now and be like, he's just the best.
He genuinely is smashing it. He
Because he's on his way out for you to take over. Is that what you meant?
is. So I've always wanted to do that. But it's when Greg decides he wants to leave.
Yeah.
And then when he does go, it's like, do they want me? Am I a bit on the wrong side of 30 for it? So that's
How old are you?
33. 27, if anyone asks.
I love the way he thinks he's on the wrong side of 30 and you're 34.
You're same age.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Same
a year
age.
older.
So it might not happen, but that's my full life ambition.
But
If I
okay.
do that, I'll do that.
And is that because that was what Moyles did, and that was
Yeah, I
what
wanted to
is
do
that
it.
where you see the pinnacle of radio for you would be that?
Yeah.
And what about TV now that you're a fucking TV?
I don't know
super fucking
about. I'd
star?
love to. I've always said this, and it's and everybody. You speak to many people in the industry. I'd love to do like a Saturday night entertainment show or a quiz show, but again,
I just remembered. So Jordan came on after Sun last season. He was our first guest on the sofa, and you went one eye over there, one eye over there. Who was that to?
What the fuck are you going on about?
what were you on about?
Are you having a fucking meltdown?
Oh yeah.
Who was it?
No, I said there was a contestant on it, and I went, you can't trust him when he's got one eye on the door. And I got loads of shit on Twitter.
Right.
And
He
we come for a
panicked.
break. I looked at my Twitter, which I shouldn't have done. I was like, Sam's trying not to laugh. I felt really bad. And then I actually messaged someone from his family because they messaged me on Twitter and I said, look, I'm really sorry. And I just made it worse. And I messaged someone. And I didn't even know. I didn't even know. I just went, well, he's got one eye on the door, hasn't he? And
He said it live, and the funny thing is, he didn't know.
I'm so
me and
sorry.
Inge went, oh my god! And then he goes, no, that was a really good segment. And he goes in the Twitter, goes, oh fuck. He didn't mean it, and it was completely innocent. It was the funniest fucking
Forgot
thing.
about that.
Yeah, you've really just gone for it, mate. You've gone really red as well, mate. You're the same colour as the sofa.
Jordan, it's been a fucking pleasure having you
bless
here,
you.
mate.
It's been a
Thank
good laugh.
you. I know you're so busy, giving us shit the time. It's very sweet.
Look, next time, I'd love to go for a beer with you. We'll have to have a beer.
yes!
We'll definitely have a beer.
Yeah, but we had this problem with Laura Wood. She said she wanted to go for a beer. We then followed that up and she didn't reply.
I'll go
Yeah,
for
and you've seen what's just happened as the Whitehall's just left. Sam thinks he's popping round for tea. What he'll now do is just harass them, but it's one of them things people politely do when they go, yeah, we'll go for a drink. They don't really mean it. Sam thinks everyone means it.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think we're onto one
We'll
here. I
go
think
for a
Jordan
beer.
will do it.
We've got a lot in common. It'll keep our agent happy as well.
Yeah.
Shout out
Yeah,
Seb.
well, you'll probably see each other. No, fuck Seb and John, the old Chuckle Brothers, fuck them. Actually, just on that note then, being with the same agency, are you the reason that Sam gets no work then? Because... Is that the main? Because I know you've been complaining about him.
Do you know who I
Is
say
there
my nemesis
competitive-
is? You know, I've got like a work nemesis, Roman Kemp, and he did make. And the funny thing is, he didn't even know I existed when he was my work nemesis. I'd literally be like that fucking Roman Kemp.
Yeah,
and he
he's
used
with the same agency as we're all.
Mate, he's lovely. He'd walk past me like, "You're right, mate."
Oh, he's a great, yeah.
And I'd be like, "You wanker!" No reason at all. No reason
You'll
at
have
all.
apparently someone very famous on this. You'll always have that throughout your career. They'll be like, if you don't get it, it'll be someone else.
Yeah.
And it's so true.
Who's yours then?
Roman Kemp. If I don't
both.
get something, and do you know what? He's actually, and I'm not just saying it, he's a good guy.
He is a nice guy.
We did a weekest link together, and it's the first time proper met, and we had a good few beers.
Did you go up
back
to
at the
Glasgow
hotel.
to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both did that. as
We
well.
and we had a good few beers, but it's if I don't get something, it's usually Roman. But I think you'll get.
It's so
always
funny though.
It's like actors as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I'm sure
yeah,
if
yeah.
Taron Egerton don't get something, it'll be someone else.
Yeah, yeah.
But he always gets that job.
Just really briefly, because I know you got to go. So Jordan is the guy that I stole his seconds with his clothes.
Stop.
Yeah, it's Jordan.
No, mate.
Yeah, so basically,
you not know this?
So you have this stylist, right?
Oh right, I've never spoke publicly about my stuff.
Oh shit!
Okay.
Sorry. Well, look, I've
The amount
spoken.
of shit I'm gonna get from this now.
Mate, I spoke about your stylist for you
Oh, right.
a few months ago, basically. But I don't know if you use her anymore. You've probably
yeah,
gone
Sarah,
on.
she sorted me out for big weekend.
So basically,
Go on.
basically, I got told when I went on After Sun, they were like, "Mate, you look like shit."
Right.
They were like, "You got to go and get a stylist, right?" And said, "Well, don't worry, I've got you." And so basically, I got this lady called Sarah who is absolutely
Fantastic.
lovely, and it's so funny because I looked at myself in the mirror. And I went, and Seb showed me a photo of you, and I went, "Fuck me, I look like a smaller Jordan North." And look at us now. We're wearing the same fucking open-top shirt.
So, right, and I did that. And if you're listening to this, you're probably thinking, you've got a stylist, you tits, right? Someone said the same thing to me, and it's the best money I've ever spent. All they do is you think you know what you look good in, and you tell them what you like, and Sarah's always trying to get me to venture out a bit. And then she'll get you somewhere, and then you see yourself on telly, you're like, right, this is why everyone has a stylist or a costume department. Because they know what looks good on telly.
Mate, it was the best thing ever. Though. You walked in, I went, "Fuck me, we're wearing the same shirt."
We were.
So what you'll find out next week is Sam will be wearing that exact black shirt.
I do that, actually. I do that.
I do that. So basically, I'm not Seb, our agent we've mentioned. I copied this off him. We went for a meeting the other week. I went, "Where's that from?" He went, "Arquette." So I went in Arquette and got it.
I love it. I do that with Pete.
Yeah.
I do that with Pete. If Pete ever buys anything, goes, "Oh, I like this hoodie," I'll go and get it as well.
Pete's like, I have got two dickheads with me right now.
Yeah,
Very
but you
much
got
the
two
same.
dicks. Jordan, who works for the BBC. Jordan, it has been a fucking pleasure having
Thank
you, mate.
you.
Thank you so much. And if I could be anything like you,
Oh,
I would
mate.
be so happy.
That's really sweet. Bless you.
Yeah, that's really sweet, but I'll just be your mate. You know what I mean?
Nice one.
I'm quite happy with that, pal.
And if you want to go for a beer, we'd love to.
We'll definitely get that beer in.
Yeah. I'll get in touch because Pete doesn't normally sort of do the DMs. So I'll DM and then...
We're not a couple.
We are, though, really.
He literally talks for us now, like we're an actual couple.
It's sweet.
When we do out the deck shit, we've got our own side.
We're not.
Oh, have you actually?
Yeah.
That is true. To be fair.
We're really trying. We're really trying. So we thought we'd have
It's
to
the side that both of us look least bald on, so that's how we picked it.
Is it Pete and Sam or Sam and Pete?
Pete and Sam.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Sam.
Pete and Sam.
Yeah. Anyway. Do you know what you've said to me for a long time that he's a really nice guy, and he is a thoroughly nice guy. I do think he was only here because you had the same agent.
So do I, but he put in such a mammoth shift as well.
Yeah, there was a point halfway through where I think he regrets being here, and he will probably have a go at his agent, who will then have a go at you.
Yeah, that's the best thing. I've begged, borrowed, and stolen to have Jordan on this podcast. I can't wait for our agent to turn around and be like, never again.
How do you feel? Is there like a bit of rivalry within the agency? Because obviously you, Jordan, and Roman, because he mentioned that that's his sort of nemesis as well. Because obviously, presumably, those guys are so much better than you. Do you think it's hard for you to get any work when you're competing within your own agency?
I was going to say, I do feel like I've almost shot a little bit too high with the Nemesis. If Roman's Jordan's Nemesis, mine needs to be far lower. I was like, oh wow, I've really shot for the stars there with my Nemesi.
Nemesi?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you should stick with the original Nemesis, which is Jedward.
Yeah, I think Jedward, I'm coming for you. But no, he's the nicest guy, and he's almost too nice. You know, when you're sitting there going, I just want to just hug you.
Yeah, he's basically done everything that you want to do.
Hey, mate, but also, you see how much he loves what he does.
Yeah.
I rate that so highly. I think that's so cool. Like, he's like, I've always just wanted to do radio.
Yeah, I just want to get paid.
I thought you were going to say pissed. Follow us on YouTube. We come out every single Friday.
I think you subscribe on YouTube.
Subscribe, actually,
You're
on
supposed
YouTube.
to be the one that knows all
Yeah, I know, I'm panicking now. Subscribe on YouTube. We come out every single
calling
Friday.
me a plane?
We have extra bits everywhere. So you can follow us on TikTok at Staying Relevant TikTok. You can follow us on Instagram at Staying Relevant Instagram handle. And we really, really like you.
Yeah, like, rate, review, and all that crap as well. And yeah, ta-da.
You legends.